Welcome to the CRO Talk Series, focused on the role and need for the CRO. At Markets and Markets, we find this a very relevant conversation, given that we work with clients to drive revenue impact, and the CRO is the key revenue driving role. I believe each of you will find this discussion and this series fascinating, because in this, you will see experts who have been CROs, you will see venture capitalists, you will see founders, you will see a whole ecosystem around B2B SaaS startups, actually focusing on how growth can be driven in an environment where customer value is paramount and customer choice is a given. Additionally, disruption has become a norm. Whether it is what genomics is doing to healthcare or 5G to the technology industry, drones to aerospace, EVs to auto, or sustainability to every industry. In this perfect storm, at Markets and Markets, we continue to look to help progressive CROs use the right kind of market intelligence to drive unique customer value and expand addressable markets to drive revenue impact. Do enjoy the session. All the very best.
Good day, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you once again to the Markets and Markets Chief Revenue Officer Talk Series. Technology has proven to be a great leveler over the last couple of decades. Especially in the last 2 years, remote working has led to significantly reduced boundaries between customers and all customer-facing functions. Sales has largely gone virtual, marketing is more highly automated than ever, services is joined at the hip with sales, customer success functions have blended into everything else, and revenue operations have come to rely heavily on real-time online analytics. With the interoperability that customers have come to expect, strategic partnerships also start to play a significant role in driving non-linear revenue growth. For today's session, we have a guest speaker who's been there, done that. He has been in various global leadership roles in the technology industry, spanning sales, marketing, services, and partnerships over the past 3 decades. It's my great pleasure to welcome our guest speaker, Eric Dufour, and series host, Devdeep Sengupta. Our guest speaker, Eric, is currently responsible for Finastra's global go-to-market strategy and organization, including sales and services, as well as overseeing marketing and the growing partner ecosystem. Eric has a rich history in the technology sector, drawing on 30 years of experience in global sales, consulting, services, marketing, and customer support roles, with global and senior leadership positions at SAP, Oracle, and a management board membership at Software AG. An inspiring and high-energy leader, Eric's relentless ambition is to create meaningful long-term relationships with customers and partners, empowering all stakeholders to unlock their full potential through technology. He holds a master's degree in economics and finance, as well as a business degree. He also completed the advanced management program at INSEAD. Eric hails from France and is married to Faye from Brazil. He has a deep passion for music and even starred in his own rock band in the 1980s. Our host, Deep, who you all know by now, has a proven track record of building a winning culture, inspiring next generation leaders, and transforming legacy software businesses to cloud. Deep is currently the President and Chief Revenue Officer for Cloud4C, a global cloud managed services company, which helps large and mid-sized enterprises in their cloud transformation journey. Previously, as the President and MD for SAP in India and South Asia, Deep was an integral part of SAP's senior executive team in APJ. Deep's passion for growth-oriented businesses have led him to work with startups in B2B SaaS. As an investor and a board advisor, he is currently helping them with their GTM and growth strategies across people, products, process, pipeline. That being said, Deep, over to you for the conversation with Eric.
Thank you, Vinod. I can't wait to get into this discussion because Eric has been one of the most inspirational and innovative business leaders I've personally worked with. Talking about music, I have no sense of music, but Eric taught me music. I remember still once we had a business meeting in Paris where Eric was leading the business unit. And in an evening, he took us to a music studio and he made us compose a song and record a song and cut an album. So that was my induction to music. And I, of course, replicated that with my team subsequently. So Eric, welcome to the show. We are delighted to have you here.
Yeah, thank you, Deep. It's a pleasure. It's scary. You guys know everything about me, and then this, and you talk about, this experience we had long time ago. So it's good, of course, to connect with you again. Yeah, this interesting thing about. I know it's not the theme of today. Don't worry, we're not going to talk about music. This is not a music course or let's say a lecture, but. The interesting thing, Deep, about this experience is to prove that when you get together, you can go outside of your comfort zone and build something that you don't think you can build alone. And that was really the reason why I did that together with you and reproduce this experience with other teams as well. So it's a great team building exercise. Thank you for reminding me of this great moment we had together. And thank you, of course, for inviting me to this series. Very happy to be with you guys.
Thank you, Eric. So, Eric, I'll jump straight into some of the questions which is top of my mind, and some of the questions which we have been getting from some of our followers. The question which comes very often, and I wanted to put it in your context. You have, like Vinod mentioned, you have a very broad experience being a sales leader, being on services side, doing partnering, doing many different things, including that of a CRO, both in large companies as well as mid-sized companies. So my question to you, Eric, do you think the sales leaders always logically becomes the best CROs, or you need a different kind of a background?
It's an interesting question because when you think about it, I mean, the role of the CRO is to grow revenue, is to drive revenue growth. Which is, by the way, a key imperative to drive enterprise valuation. This is why the CRO is a very powerful and important person, in the board of a company in general. And this is much more complex than driving sales growth, bookings growth, you will call it, and particularly true in SaaS, right? In SaaS business models. So the short answer to your question would be depends, but it depends really. But let me maybe peel the onion, as we say, and go to what does it take, to drive revenue growth, which is again the main responsibility of a CRO. So there are three elements that come to my mind, and we can discuss them, of course, and build on them. Driving revenue growth is a combination of driving bookings growth at the top of your funnel to some extent. It's also a question of time to revenue. How long does it take to take these bookings and bring them into the revenue? But then in this funnel, you have the bottom of the funnel as well. The net retention is a key element. So you have three elements at least that you need to look at, not just the top of the funnel, which is usually the responsibility of a sales leader or sales manager, is that just bring the new bookings on the top. But what goes into the funnel afterwards is usually not the responsibility of a sales leader. So what does it take? What does it take to drive this? Let's talk about bookings growth first. And I would even call that efficient growth. Because you don't want to grow at all costs. You want profitable growth. You want efficient growth. So number one, by experience, I have white hair now, more than when we recorded this song, as you can see. Even my beard is totally white, so I gain wisdom at the same time as well. So when you think about driving booking growth, the first thing that comes to my mind is always an outside-in view. How do you optimize the way you cover your constrained addressable market, or what you will call your CAM? It's always the first thing to think about is, how do I optimize my coverage? And optimizing your coverage requires you to think already multi-routes to market. You mentioned partnering. Partners play a critical role there. Your direct sales force as well, of course. Other means could be digital sales or inside sales, etc. What is the best way for me to cover my CAM and to maximize my customer touch point? This is at the core. But it's not enough. Yeah. I mean, very often you need to think about what is the next source of growth. You can expand geographically, you can go down market, up market, depending on where you're coming from. But very often it's also about building what I call new business engines. What is the next generation of revenue or bookings growth for you? We are still on the topic of bookings growth. What are the new motions, the new offerings that we can bring to market? How do we innovate in the way we go to market as well? Because innovation, very often, I always used to say to my CEOs or chief product officer, etc., innovation is not just about product. The way you innovate from a go-to-market standpoint is critical. And very often it has a shorter time to the money or the value than it is to build a new product. You build a new product, you're on a 3 years journey, and then the time to revenue, let's say, is probably between 3 to 5 years. But an innovative go-to-market approach could resonate very well and have a rather short-term return, call that a yearly return. So new business or building new business engines is also a key element to sustain your bookings growth. And of course, then after that, it's all about operational efficiency. Yeah, when you talk about driving bookings growth, is how do you improve sales and marketing productivity? How do you improve your resource allocation, as I mentioned? How do you drive value-based driven motion and pricing? Digital marketing and marketing, how do you ensure you get more effective, more efficient? Vinod said, hey, COVID has changed the game very much. Yeah. Sales is almost 100% remote. Marketing is definitely 100% digital. And by the way, I tend to say that COVID has brought the future forward. We see that also with customers, acceleration of cloudification, acceleration of platforms in the large sense in the way we engage. So this first element already, when you think about skill sets, back to your question, are sales leaders the obvious candidates for CROs? This requires not only sales leadership, but this requires creativity and conceptual skills. And I used to say, you might even have heard me saying that at SAP, because I use this sentence very often to challenge my team. Managers run businesses, leaders transform businesses. This is very, very, very different. Yeah. So that's the first point that I have. But then, you go to another element, which is net retention. Retention in the SaaS world is very important. A CRO, once again, drives shortened time to value or time to revenue. Because it's key to his revenue growth. Yeah. So what are the things that you can lever or leverage to drive, shorter time to value? The way you onboard, the way you implement software, the way you upsell and cross-sell, and how comes this customer experience and satisfaction in play? Because it's critical. Customer success managers, how do you ensure and drive adoption of your solution? Yeah, so that your solution stick, that you manage retention. It's very important as well. These are all these elements, Deep, that a good CRO should look at. How do you grow the top of the funnel? How do you accelerate the time to revenue? How do you manage your net retention? All of that is critical to success. All of that also is critical to enterprise valuation. The two elements in SaaS that investors look at in particular are ARR growth and net retention. And of course, EBITDA. But it comes even after. Are you growing your ARR? Meaning, are you efficiently growing your top line and your bookings? Yeah, with all the elements I mentioned. How do you retain your customer? What is your net retention? And best practice is above 110%. Meaning not only you retain, but you upsell and cross-sell, because the customer experience you provide to your customers make them stick with you. So it's a long answer to a short question, because at the end of the day, it depends. Do your sales leaders have the potential to go beyond what it just take, which is already difficult, to accelerate and grow at the top of the funnel?
So fantastic. I think it's one of the most insightful, I think, conversation we have had on the role of the CRO. And I guess, Eric, what intrigues me for my next question, which is out of the script, is, when you look at business applications, right? And everything we have, and you have led the transformations on many companies from being a perpetual license to a SaaS model, right? And one of the biggest difficulties we all faced in that shift from perpetual to SaaS is the time to revenue or time to value for the customer. Because in I would say, unlike a point solution, when you look at an enterprise SaaS or enterprise business application, whether it's a core banking, whether it's a fintech or a ERP, that takes a while to get it implemented if it is a new project, right? And you have to maintain, and as you change your business model, you have to maintain your booking, you have to do your AR, NRR at the same point of time, deliver a faster time to value to your clients. So how do you see the matrices change, from a perpetual model to a SaaS model, and how do you create value not only for the company but also for the customers?
Mm-hmm. So I mean the transformation that many companies, except if you are born as a SaaS company and this is the way this is in your DNA, this is all you do, right? But most of the company have been through this transformation journey. Our old friends at SAP, Finastra is on this journey as well, very aggressively, by the way, and we have now more than 80% of our revenue, which is recurring revenue. Yeah, we have transformed to SaaS and to recurring versus the classic ILF, as we call it. You sign a deal, boom, you recognize the deal immediately. We all know that this has a short-term impact, because on your revenue and EBITDA, you turn a deal to immediate revenue and an immediate margin to a recurring
deferred,
So you lose one thing, which is the short-term impact, which is sometimes painful at the point of transformation. I can talk about it if you were a public company, because I was a board member, as Vinod mentioned, at Software AG. We were, like any public company, doing our earning release every quarter. You are under the pressure from, of course, the market, the investors, etc., to deliver, not only revenue growth, but also EBITDA growth and so on and so forth. Doing this transformation is really, really challenging because short term you will have an impact, because what used to impact your P&L immediately within a quarter is now spreading over many years. So you lose immediate impact, but you gain something that is so important, is predictability of your revenue, predictability of your revenue trend. And this is very much what investors buy. When you invest, you don't take a bet. You do to some extent, but you want to make sure it's a controlled bet. You know what I mean? So the first beauty of it for the company value, is shifting to that, kill the volatility. We have been at SAP together. We know that a deal could be a deal breaker or maker for the quarter. You get a great deal, you have a great quarter. You miss it, it's pushing to the next quarter. Bad news. This is over, because by signing a recurring deal or a SaaS deal last day of a quarter or not doesn't change your quarterly performance, because it's recurring. So the predictability, moving your company to 80% of your business on recurring, gives you a predictability of your future that is very valuable for, let's say, shareholders in the large sense. The value, shortening the time to value, was one of the elements. One thing that SaaS has changed is that it forced us or forced companies to kill the silos. You cannot think sequential anymore. I sell, and then I implement, and then I upsell and cross-sell. This is over. This is an ongoing experience that you deliver to your customers. You don't talk about implementation, you talk about onboarding. The lines are blurring. This is why, again, normally the CRO responsibility includes the end-to-end customer, let's say, experience, because then you can, really use all the levers that you have in your hand to improve this end-to-end experience. So very critical. So you kill the silo, you bring the things all together in a continuous journey for the customer. And the time to value for the customers gets faster as well. you know, decade ago, you know, when you and I were at SAP, yeah, you said it. It took a long time. You sell software, and then all the best, yeah. Hopefully, you're gonna go live in 2 years, sometime even more. I mean, we have seen this before. They are massive, massive, massive project. The risk for the customer is also massive. The investment is massive. In the SaaS world, the day you buy, the day you experience.
Yeah.
But then your focus is different. The focus is adoption. The focus is experience, and hence satisfaction with the experience, because this will what will give you the right to retain, upsell, cross-sell, and again increase your net retention, rate over the 100%, or even over the 110%, which is probably benchmark. Yeah.
Right.
So this is always a very interesting journey that has consequences. Consequences on organizations, breaking the silos, ensuring an end-to-end, experience for the customers, and certainly consequences on leadership as well. And hence the type of skills you need in a CRO is sometimes very different, much more complex. Again, back to the first question, to what a sales manager responsibility is.
Absolutely. I think it's very, very well put. It's about not just creating your enterprise value, but also creating value for the customer. That's the first point. I'm very, very tempted to ask you, Eric, given your broad experience of developing, building ecosystem and partnering for both large companies, mid-sized companies, in this entire shift of SaaS, in this entire shift of technology companies moving from perpetual to subscription or recurring revenue models, how have I would say the partner ecosystem, whether it's a big services or consulting company, a mid-size consulting company, or a reseller kind of a thing, what has been the economic impact on their business? Because on the perpetual license model, there was a clear economic value for the partners, right? But in the SaaS model, how has that changed, and how do you see, because this is also still an emerging trend, because we see every day, partners are adopting new models and things like that. So what's the kind of trend you're seeing? And, we would love to get your perspectives and insights into this.
Yeah, if you don't mind, let me start by articulating why partnering is important.
Yeah.
And then we will come to the point of saying, what does it mean to partners? What is the value in a SaaS model? I mean, partnering is game-changing when you know how to do it. Because partnering gives you two things, and you have experienced that at SAP very much. Yeah. Number one, it gives you scale. And assuming that most of you on the call today are in small or mid-sized cap company, scale is the name of the game.
Yep.
How do you scale your business? How do you scale your business? And partnering is a way to scale. Secondly, partnering for me is a value accelerator for your customers. Why do I say that? Because they should do something on top that you cannot do yourself. It could be many fronts. Yeah. Back again to my point of optimizing your CAM coverage or your constraint addressable market, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I mean, they are by definition, either from a services standpoint or a sales standpoint, an extension of your sales and delivery engine. Assuming again, you know how to onboard them, train them, make them, really a complement of who you are, an extended family to some extent. Yeah. I remember, you were leading India at the time at SAP, but I remember one day going in a small subsidiary of SAP. I think it was Finland, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And one of our customers there, one of our prospects even at that time, said how SAP is committed to this country and how big you are. And I remember our seller at the time was uncomfortable with this question. He said, yeah, some of our competitors are bigger than us. This is important to us, etc. I said, look, The answer is not we are a 100 people organization, which is big. Yeah, it's SAP. Yeah, if you think about what most of the people on this call, if I ask how many resources you have in Finland, you might say zero or very few. Yeah, but think about what is your ecosystem. And my answer to this customer was, we have thousands of people. I was not lying. I was just adding. I was just adding what was SAP plus its ecosystem of partners, the Accenture of this world, the Capgemini of this world, and many others, including local SIs or local partners that were carrying our flag every day. It's a very different type of message you pass. The power of an ecosystem, yeah, is important. But it could be also, and very true in SaaS, an extension of your product capability. We are using Salesforce.com at Finastra. Like I'm sure many of you are or are using similar product.
Correct.
Interestingly enough, I never touch, as the president and CRO of this company, I never touch Salesforce. I use an application called Clary that comes on top of Salesforce. And that gives me in the window in Salesforce in the way I want it, customized to my need, customized to the way I run my forecast calls, I run my pipeline reviews, et cetera, et cetera. So my view of Salesforce is through Clary. My experience of Salesforce even is through Clary. And Salesforce has understood that very well. Like many other SaaS companies have understood, by surrounding themselves, by leveraging their platform to drive proliferation of application on top, that drives a better, stronger experience, what I call a connected experience. Connected because it's Clary with Salesforce. It's the connected experience that I have that makes Salesforce stickier, more valuable to me as a customer. Once again, a value accelerator, you know, to my experience as a customer, and hence my consumption of the system and my retention, if I could say, as a customer, right? Partners are also essential in terms of co-innovation. You know, there is more co-innovation happening outside of your four walls, always. You need to be humble enough to understand that. Whatever you are, whoever you are, how big, you know, call that an SAP or Microsoft if you wish, or call that any small startup in the world, even more true. Innovation happens much more outside of your world. How do you open yourself? Because partnering is not only about how you sell. Partnering goes from the way you cook product, you co-innovate with your partner, you build this connected experiences through an open platform, API enabled most of the time. You make it easy to integrate, yeah. And then the value you deliver to your customer is by definition extended. You are stronger than the sum of your parts, yeah. So the value for partners now, this is why partnering is valuable, yeah, deep from me. It's really, and it helps as a barrier to entry as well when you think about it. If you have a vibrant ecosystem of partners around you, this is a barrier to entry for your competition. The ones that partner with you might not partner with the others. The experience they deliver to your customers might not be delivered to others. So this is a competitive edge when you have that. So the value for the partners has indeed evolved with the SaaS model. Yeah, I mean, in the past, you and I know that very well because of our background again. I mean, you have all the SIs going around you and saying, hey, you know, the famous magic formula, $1 of software, $5 of services in the old times. This is over.
Yeah, that's true.
This is over. Yeah. But the value for partners is different. They go and very often complement. They can, of course, act as resellers. They can sometimes be a bridge to the cloud. You know, I have done a lot of things around that, you know, when your solution is not totally SaaS ready, but you want to deliver it as a SaaS or SaaS-like, yeah, or on-demand type of things. Very often you can leverage third parties, call that SIs or partners that have their own data center that will package your solution, localize it, and deliver it as a service to customers. So the science is always around partnering, is always about driving value for the three parties. Value for your partner by complementing yourself and benefiting, of course, from your reputation and position in the market. Yeah, we at Finastra have 9,000 banks using our systems. 90% of the top banks in the world use Finastra. If I embark a fintech to build an application on top of our platform, our open platform that we call FusionFabric.cloud, and is an open API platform, I certainly open the market to 9,000 customers to this fintech. This is the direct value that they are getting, as an example. But they could be also, as I said, your managed service provider, the one that will bridge your solution to the cloud. They could be also your preferred, to not even say sometime exclusive distribution partner in a region or in a market that you know you cannot touch yourself because you don't have the critical mass to do so. And then the value for the customer is all this connected experience and also the ability to have somebody that can serve their need wherever they are, whatever they do. It's a win-win-win game. Value for you as a vendor, value for your partners, because you open a reputation, a market, you can, they can OEM some of your components. There are so many things you can do. If you believe in open, if you believe in connected experience, and indeed an acceleration of value for your customers.
Fantastic. I think we have very comprehensively covered, and one key takeaway for me is, Eric, which you mentioned, is how do you build around your platform? How do you get your partner and ecosystem to not only support you, help you be your extended arm, but also add value through co-innovation? And that brings me to my final question. As a CRO, right, what is the impact you have on the product roadmap of the organization? Whether it's through third party, whether it is inside, whether it is customer driven, and how do you see the role?
So look, let me try to answer with an analogy. Yeah, I love sport cars. I don't know if you do, but let's go into the Formula One world. I never drove a Formula One, but look, do you think 1 minute that let's take Niki Lauda. I think about him because I saw once again this famous movie where you have this competition between Niki Lauda and James Hunt, right? What a man, what a character, what a winner. Yeah. Another skill set, by the way, for CRO. Yeah. This winning mentality. Yeah. Where losing is no option. Yeah. This is not an experience. This is a mentality. This is a skill set. I could have covered that as well, and maybe this will be my conclusion if you don't mind after that. But do you think 1 minute, if you have watched the movie, or if you're interested in Formula One, that the only thing that Niki Lauda or any pilot of Formula One or driver of Formula One, his responsibility is just to sit in the car, take the steering wheel, and they go as fast as they can? They are, by definition, the interface between the car and the engineers. They know the best how the cars react to the way they drive. So the level of influence a pilot or a driver of Formula One has on the way the car is built, and Niki Lauda was a perfect example of that, is huge. Is huge. If you are a CRO, you are, by definition, the interface between your company and your customers. You don't build product in the lab. You build product with and for your customers. This is not that you have influence. This is that you have a duty. You have a duty to ensure that whatever product and experience is done and tailored, it is tailored for the benefit of your customers, and you have an accountability to ensure that you make that happen. So there is no better influence you can have than the influence of a driver of Formula One. So to conclude, maybe let's go back to, I understand this is all about what is the ideal profile for CRO. Let me go into another spin in terms of, because for me, by experience, this is what matters the most. Experience, you get experience with gray hair. You cannot buy experience. You have to go through it. Yeah. So that is one thing, but there is one thing that matters the most, and it's true so much in leadership in general, and so true for CRO as well. What are the attributes? What kind of person you want? to drive success. And for me, the question of the right person is a formula. The formula is the following: passion, courage, and humility. What do I mean by that? Passion. We all know personally what passion does, because we know we experience that in our personal life. Either you're passionate about your husband, your wife, your kids, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you have. You're passionate about music. You're passionate about reading books, adventure, traveling. You know that when you're passionate about something, you'd give it your best. And by the way, the hours don't count.
Yeah.
You never say, oh my God, I spent 3 hours rehearsing this song. If you love music, you enjoy it. You very much, and you want to excel. And usually you're good at what you're passionate for. Either you're a good husband, you're a good wife, you're a good mother, you're a good father. Passion moves mountains. Yeah. So you want a passionate leader, because you know he will be at his best, not counting the hours and the effort, because it's a pleasure. It's enjoyable. Courage. You need courage because we know by experience, you know that deep as well, working together with me, that this is only by thinking big that you achieve big things. Dream big, execute strong is usually what it takes. And to think big, you need courage. Because if management is an illusion, leadership is important. Yeah, only you are, I used to say to my people and my team, you are the CEO of your own business. You dictate the way you want to behave. You dictate the goal you set to yourself. Not only the goal that the market will set to you or that your boss will set to you. I'm talking about what is inside yours. Think big. You want somebody to have courage. You want really something, a guy, because the risk or the reward is very often proportional to the risk you take. Control risk, of course, measure risk. You don't want a crazy guy, but you want somebody that is not afraid to go outside of the box, because this is where the reward is. Courage is important. Humility, finally. You need humility regardless of what is your level of experience to learn and to understand, what you can learn from others. You can learn from the market. You need to be humble, always, regardless of your experience. And I will leave you with one of my story to illustrate humility. Probably one thing that made me who I am. I was 29. I was a rookie manager at Oracle. That was before my SAP time did. And it was my first sales management responsibility, not CRO, of course, sales management responsibility at Oracle in France. After having been a very successful sales guy, thinking I was walking on water. And I have my performance review with my boss. This is the MD of Oracle France, the managing director of Oracle France. And I'm very eager, of course, to listen and to get a feedback on how I was doing. And he came to the meeting and said, yeah, and when I asked him, he said, no. He said, good thing, Eric. This is good. You're doing well. I mean, okay, tell me more. And he said, you ready? I said, yeah, sure, I'm ready. He said, you are fired. I was shocked. 30 seconds before, he was telling me I was doing well. And I thought I was doing well. This is why I asked the question, by the way, because I wanted to hear from him too. And he said, you're fired. And he said, you know what we're going to do, right? I said, I'm not sure what you mean. He said, well, we're going to replace you. Oh, yeah, well, I said, yeah, I can imagine. And he said, look, unless we do a casting mistake, because hiring is always a dangerous sport, if we hire the right person, the right leader, man or woman, she or he will look at what you have done. He will find, or she will find, probably good things that he will want to carry on with, yeah, build on top. But if she or he is the right leader, because again, leaders transform businesses, not only run businesses, she or he will want to leave his mark, to make his mark or her mark. And they will look outside of the box of what you have done and try to do things different, add things that could be improved, new things, call that business, developing new business engines, as I said before. He said, can you understand that, Eric? I say, yeah, sounds logical to me. And he said, okay, I have a good news. You're not fired, but you're going to think about what this guy or lady would do, and you would do it yourself. This was very likely, surely, the shortest performance review I ever had in my career, but probably the one that marks me the most and touched me the most, because it taught me the following. Number one, never be complacent. Success is always the enemy of success. Yeah. Be humble. Always be humble, to understand there is always something you can do. Challenge yourself. Think outside of the box. Dream big. Yeah. Understand that success is a journey. It's never there. It's never here for you to grab. You have to fight for it day after day, quarters after quarters. And God knows I have many quarters under the belt now. Yeah. So I will leave you with this story, because I think that when you think about what should be your next CRO, or if some of you have the ambition to be CRO, it's not only about experience, it's about who you are, what you have inside of you, in your soul, in your mind, the passion, the courage, and the humility it takes to be successful.
Fantastic. Awesome. So, Eric, in the final parting, I have 3 takeaways and 1 learning. As you said, passion, courage, humility. Most importantly, you must always ask yourself, what is the legacy you're leaving behind? I think that is what I've learned. And that is what good leaders always do, whether it's a CRO, whatever name you call them, it doesn't matter. Thank you.
Very true. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Deep. Thank you, Vinod.
Thank you.
I hope
We'll be in
that
touch,
you enjoyed the
Eric.
session. I enjoyed the questions, and I enjoy being with you. Thank you very much,
Thank you, Eric.
everyone.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.